Hello, everyone. A warm welcome to the panelists. Happy to have you. And the topic for this panel discussion is to talk about the relevance of TVET reporting and data in TVET for policymaking in education and, of course, in our sector, which is the TVET sector. So I'm very happy to have such a knowledgeable panel here on the stage. And I would like to start with Mr. Dogby. Thank you. We've heard your presentation this morning. It was a very good insight into the EMIS system and the work that you're doing. And I would like to know from you, in what ways have this data that you acquired so far and that you worked with been feeding the planning of the ministry? How has it been of help in steering and evaluating the policies that the Ministry of Education has done in the past years? And where do you see, that the data has been used directly to feed into the policies?
Thank you for the opportunity. I think that in my earlier presentation, I did say that the information that we gather is supposed to feed into the planning and then the monitoring of all programs at the ministry level. And you can see that even before the introduction of free SHS, that was before the NPP government came into power. There was this program by the NDC, the then NDC government, who were at the time looking at how to make free SHS progressively free. At the time, I was part of those who were asked to look at what the data is saying and whether it was feasible to be able to introduce free SHS. At that time, looking at the data, we saw that there was a lot of backlog. You know, the senior high schools were churning out graduates in their numbers, but access to the universities were that limited. And so we had to model out, come out with a model which says that, okay, free SHS can be free, but at the time, it was very expensive. It was going to be very expensive for the country to be able to bear. So you realize that for almost all the programs that the ministry was introducing at the time, data was made use of, and no decision was taken without the recourse to what the data is saying. But I should also be the first to admit that sometimes some programs may be introduced without data. It is at the whims and caprices of what the politician of the day is thinking of. So yes, many of the programs that the ministry implements are fed by the data at the time. But I'm also saying that not all the time. There are times they can go out of their way and introduce something that they think can be beneficial or not, or something that can promote their political agenda. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think that's probably something that, the TVET administration always sometimes also struggles with. You have the data, you have the evidence, but sometimes, politics comes into the way of the data. This can happen everywhere. I've seen it also, of course, in Germany, right? Thank you. My second question I would like to ask Dr. Asare. So from the TVET service perspective, what type of data do you currently collect in-house in your institution? And also, where do you see still gaps of information that you would like to close in the future, maybe?
It's mostly about the staff and the students. We take data on enrollment, the graduation statistics as to whether they are able to fit into the workplace, after graduation, and the workforce skills need, and then the perceptions of the public regarding their training and their outputs when they go out there. Our biggest gaps now, as I see it, has to do with how the information or the data is collated and its repository. So what we have now, or what we are doing now, is to improve the infrastructure, the digital infrastructure, to go paperless, to have most of the data digitized. And with that, we are working closely with GIZ to achieve that. They have, we built a node center as part of our infrastructure improvement, and we are currently also building a TVET MIS, which is going to consolidate all the data. So at the click of a button, MOE can just request for data on the platform. Development partners, students, everybody, it will have the complete history, information of the students in the system. So it's work in progress.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. And if I may directly ask a follow-up to that, so the TVET MIS, I think that's very inspiring. And I mean, we heard this morning about the school, the mobile school report card. Do you think there is a possibility to make a connection, to make an interface maybe, so that these two systems, also with the EMIS system, maybe can work together and, you know, have interfaces established there? Is that something that came up in the discussion maybe?
With regards to two systems, what our focus or our vision is to have a centralized system, a robust system that is able to handle all aspects of the TVET's digital ecosystem. So we are not really looking at, definitely we can do plugins, we can connect with APIs and all that. But when it comes to having to put our data into different systems, we are careful to not have that. We would rather go with the comprehensive system that we are building, so that we don't work in silos. Because if you need data from a particular institution and they tell you that they've uploaded it to this system, then doesn't mean they are going to maybe retrieve it from there and send it to you. Or we want to have that TVET system. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. My next question I would like to ask Mr. Morrison. So you mentioned already before in the morning that the informal sector should be considered in these kind of systems and in the data reporting to a bigger extent. And you even invited all the stakeholders to get in touch with you to realize this step. What do you think could be the contribution of when it comes to information from the informal sector? And considering what you also mentioned, that it is difficult to get the stakeholders on board to provide their data, how could this be done? Do you have any suggestion how we can approach the informal sector to include their data in the systems and in the reporting structures?
Thank you for the question and opportunity. I think with associations and trade associations, we find it difficult at that time to be able to come under one umbrella. That is why FEPTAC is formed, to make sure that all the professional trade associations in Ghana come under one umbrella. So accessing information, dissemination of information will be easier. But as we are saying now, we are talking about data. We say the data is very important. And now people call it a new gold. Previously, people were going for our data and using it for other things without our knowledge. So it becomes difficult when you approach the trade association for their data. It's very difficult for them to give it out because a lot of agencies have gone for the data, use it for different things. Sometimes they even go to the regions without informing the heads here because we have an organogram and the flow of information. So getting my data, you go to the region, begin to do the exercise with the regional without the national head. Sometimes it breaks our front. So these are the difficulties we are having. Then another area too is, it's me like getting their data, for them giving you all the information. One aspect, or they thought maybe you want to use it for tax. That is another area. So they find it reluctant to give you the data. So I was of the view that for us to be able to get a good data in the informal sector, we need support because you need data to collect data. And data is a new gold. So if you don't have the right resources, the right logistics, then at the end of the day, they give you galamsey data. Yeah, let me put it that way, because you need to trade the manpower, you need to give them resources, you need to support them for them to get accurate and effective data for you. So we need logistics, as real logistics, like computers, data, resource people, to be able to collect. We have the data, but it comes in different form because we don't have a format to them for them to fill. So if you ask them the data, they bring it as it is raw. So one, as we're saying, we need the resources, we need the manpower, and we need a lot of logistics to be able to support and we'll get the accurate and the legal data. And we know if you get the data, it will go a long way to help us because we know there's a lot of opportunities out there if you get accurate data. We know there is a lot of skill gaps up there. When we get the data, we can see how best we made that skill gap. We know there's a mismatch of skills up there. If you get the data, we can be able to solve that challenges. And I've been always saying that with the CBT, to be able to work as Germans are doing it, yes, we need a very good comprehensive data. And I think we are collaborating with the CTVET and GTVET for that. By the press of a button, somebody at Panchenico, we can know his capability, we know his skills. So if there's a workplace experiential learning, it's easier for you to be able to identify the right people. So I think with the informal sector, it's possible, but there's a lot of challenges, which if you collaborate, you can be able to get accurate and effective data. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We would now move to the technical universities and Dr. Amoama. And I think the technical universities are already quite good in data gathering and also in providing this data, for example, for the TVET reporting. And I would like to see here as well, what is the data that is focused on in the technical universities? What kind of data gathering is being done on level of the technical universities? And where is it considered to have still some gaps of information?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and thank you for this opportunity. Greetings from Accra Technical University. And yes, we have lots of data. I would say that once the learner, we will usually say the student, but now the nomenclature is slightly shifting to the learner. Once the learner expresses interest to be in our university, obviously data will be taken from the person. So we have data, enrollment data that we take. Once the learner is still with us in the institution and progresses, we also have retention data.
Hello.
Then when the learner is ready to graduate, we will also have our graduation statistics. Or statistics on the completion. But beyond that, we will also be interested in the outcome. So there's the output, that is the student we have trained or the learner we have trained and has passed out successfully. But beyond that, where is that person? So traceability is the next thing. And that is what gap that we have. Inability for us to consciously be able to trace. Though we have tracer studies, yes, we have recently commissioned 2 students on a project in data science to help us to trace them. Alumni is also assisting us, but that is one big gap. Another gap which is also gradually being corrected is the mismatch between the skills that we as technical university we give to the student and then what industry requires. So that mismatch. But we are gradually trying to bridge that gap because we now invite industry to be part of us. When we are developing curriculum, we invite them in so that they will be a part of it and they will be able to streamline things and let us know what is actually needed in the industry. So these would be a few of the gaps that I can say for now. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that perspective. I would like to hear now from Mr. Adeto. So from the perspective of an international organization, where do you see potential for synergies and cooperation between the national bodies, the private sector here in Ghana, and also with the international organizations? And also, I know that ILO is publishing on a regular basis on indicators also in TVET. And do you think these kind of indicators could also be of value here for the TVET space in Ghana?
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. So from the perspective of donors, let me say that we largely collaborate with government agencies to be able to address the issues that they bring up. So largely we provide technical assistance, and we also offer the platform for us to share experiences, best practices, across the globe. So that, for instance, if India is doing something very good and we think that we can replicate in Ghana, we give the opportunity for our partners to visit India, for instance, to learn, because largely you wouldn't want always to be reinventing the wheel. We can, copy best practices from other places, to work with. The other element is also about the financial assistance, which is key. We know we have the financing gap, across the various sectors. So we come in to collaborate and fill in that gap. One interesting thing that we are also doing is to create special purpose vehicles, such as the sector skill bodies, that will address the concerns that my colleagues are raising. We have skills mismatch everywhere, the gaps are there. But if we identify these gaps, the best people to address is to bring, industry and academia together. I remember in 2018, when we had a session, industry, academia, we nearly ended it abruptly because industry thinks that I am so important. Academia say yes, okay, of course we have the professors there. So they speak so well that, in fact, you not see the sense of the need for us to work together. But now he's talking about it, everybody is talking about it. SSBs meet, and then they set the standards. I think Thompson made a copious reference to that. So these are all avenues we try to, DPs cannot take the lead. So we only collaborate, and then we are behind. I have been cautioned that when I'm reporting, I should never say ILO has done this. You say in collaboration with TVET and all. So we only collaborate to see how we can bring the best practices here, and then we take it from there. I also see a lot of support, financial support from DPs, tooling and retooling the TVET institutions, which will help us practice CBT the way it's supposed to go. Thanks.
Thank you very much. You also already touched upon the topic of structures and cooperation. And my next question to Mr. Zogla from the Commission for TVET would be, in addition to what we have now already in place, what kind of structures do you think or processes would be required to have the TVET data monitoring system even more reliable and sustainable?
Thank you very much, Julia. And thank you for this opportunity to be part of this panel. I always try to get a grounding before I start my conversation. And just to say that looking at the topic we are discussing, I was really looking at its implication for TVET. When we are discussing the topic of relevance of TVET reporting for policy making in education, then of course, it's very important for me to highlight some of the relevance. And I was just trying to do some introspection, and I say, yes, it's very important, because for TVET reporting, it provides us a platform for information sharing within the TVET ecosystem. And also, as we have this TVET reporting, we are able to promote and market the potential of TVET for skill development and employment creation. Of course, very much important because it provides other stakeholders with relevant information, especially to employers on the source of future workforce, so they are able to know some of these things from the TVET reporting. And also it tells us of the current status, challenges, expectations, and recommendations for consideration, and the necessary policy intervention. With this said, the relevance of data cannot be overemphasized. Yes, we are doing so many things in the system already, but how do we deepen it and make it better and ensure that we are aligned to best practice? So to have a robust data system or an information system, three key things are important. One, the physical infrastructure. Second, the digital infrastructure as well. And then third, the relevant data collection tools. Right. These things are important, and we can all agree from the experiences we shared this morning that many agencies and institutions are doing some of these things in one way or the other. But integrating these is what we are really losing out on. We've also heard of the supports that are coming from various partners. But then again, complementing each other, where we are talking about coordination, is very much important. How are we doing it? Are we doing it to end our project, or we are doing it to build a very solid and a robust system? What are we looking out for as a country? What is our agenda? Have we set the agenda for the partners that come on board to contribute to it? So if we don't have the agenda to have a robust TVET, MIS in place, and for what purposes we want to use it for, you would realize that we'll be doing things in silo and we are not integrating. So apart from having the physical infrastructure, the digital infrastructure, the relevant tools as to collect what we have to help us shape policy. If we can go this trajectory, then I'm sure it's very helpful to us. So just to make it a bit snappy, data is important, and very big data is very, very important. But now, analyzing and interpreting these data so we can use it to transform TVET is the biggest thing we have to focus on. We can only achieve that when we collaborate, when we complement our efforts together, so that we do not come at a point where we are having a conversation and maybe EMIS is doing something, another partner is supporting somebody, and a question that even though I'm in the TVET space, I do not know. How do we harmonize so that we can all be talking from the same page? If we can put our minds to this, then I can tell you that the conversation of data is a discussion, but getting the result requires action. And we have to move on these actions. And this is what I want to say on this question. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Almost a call to action for everyone, right? To collaborate more, to have robust data systems that support us in policy making. Thank you. To close this panel, because I think lunch is already waiting for us, I received a sign somewhere, I would like to pass the microphone to every one of you again with one question. If you had to set just one priority for the next year in terms of data reporting and data in TVET, what would that be? One priority that you think we should, or you and your organizations would have for next year? Who wants to go first while the others still have a moment to think about their priority? I would like to hear from everyone. Okay.
Should I start?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, so for me, I'll be looking at the capacity, building capacity, institutional capacity to be able to collect, organize, and analyze, but most importantly, to be able to use the report to inform policy decisions that will shape the skills development landscape for TVET in Ghana.
Thank you very much. Mr.
All right,
Zupla.
so let me continue by emphasizing again that in integrating all the actors that have a role in collecting data is a priority thing we should focus on so that we have data harmonized and not scattered. So just at one-stop shop, you are able to get the relevant information to inform policy. Thank you.
Okay, so I think a fully digitized system within the TVET would also help us improve better, and we'll also look at the digital infrastructure and also building the capacity of our instructors who intend pass it on to our learners, and then creating content, our TVET's digital content, yes, for online learning. Yeah, and then we'll also look at digitizing or attempting to digitize fully the informal sector.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. I think that for me, engagement is very key. You may have a system, and that system may be very robust, but the data may be coming from a source, and somebody will give you the input for you to be able to get the data analyzed and, reported in the way you want. If the source does not understand why they should give you the data, if they don't understand why they have to give the data at a particular time, why they should, the form the data should come in, if all these understanding are not there, they will try to give you something, but then it will turn out to be garbage in, garbage out. You'll be getting the data, maybe at the right time, all the time. But what will be coming out of it may be meaningless. Engagement is very, very key. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will say that let's use data to find return on investment. We have come out with a product, being the learner that we have molded, taken through this system. We've invested in that person. What is the return on investment? Has the person, having gained some employability skills, is the person employed? What's even the rate of employment? We can do it sector by sector and then see which area our people are going to. What is the return on that investment that we have made? Data can be used to address this issue.
In the informal sector, our challenges are numerous. That's why I was waiting for all of them to come out before I end it. One, how to be able to raise the negative perception about data in the informal sector. Because there's a negative perception out there that you are taking their data, you are going to use it for money or for taxation. So we need that education in the informal sector for the mastercard person to know and understand that data is something valuable that all of us need to do our planning. So by raising that negative perception is by going out there, educating and giving them the right information. That is one. Two, the logistics are not there for the informal sector. Mama Bonsu, are you here with me? We have been coming to your office. Try to support us. Even if every association will get one computer, we can be able to get right data. Even want it national and even the regions, because the numbers are there. We need to get all of them. We need to capture all of them, their capability, where they are, and their gaps, then we can be able to. So that is two. We are looking at the tracer study. If you have a good data, the tracer study will be there. As I'm speaking to you, I'm speaking on my side. The electronics people that have trained them through the GTVP. Now, one, if you go to City Academy University, it's a JSS graduate. Through the training, now he's their lab technician. If you are doing if you go to Kolebu right now, the lab, we have two guys who have gone through this program. They have only level one, and they have built up. So, and as I'm speaking, two ladies are with fire service, and many more are going to the other industry to work with them. It's just we need the data to do that tracer study and make sure that we can develop them and make sure that that gap is filled. We are talking about recognition of problem learning. We need data to be able to assess them, know their gap, and know where they fit to be able to, progress on the academic ladder. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. So we've seen in this panel, actually, or we heard a few buzzwords that I think are very important and will also continue to be relevant in the afternoon and also in tomorrow's workshop as we continue to work on our topic and exchange. So we heard about integration, collaboration, building capacities, working on the skills to actually generate data. We heard about digitalization as an interesting and very important topic. And we heard about engaging stakeholders, and we heard about tracer studies. We heard about impact. We want to measure the impact of TVET and the impact of the policies that are being implemented. So I think all of these are very relevant topics, and I'm very happy that you brought them up. So thank you, everyone. And I look forward to exchanging further with you and working with all of you and the audience also in our workshops tomorrow, where I think we will delve into some more details of some of the aspects. Thank you very much, and I hand back over to Albert.